In 1978, my husband, who had been admitted to university, stole the rations meant for me and our daughter and went off to college with his childhood sweetheart. After our household ran out of food, I went up the mountain to dig for wild vegetables. But our daughter was thrown into a boiling pot by the village madman. After our daughter died tragically, I picked up a kitchen knife and perished together with the madman. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day my husband stole our family's rations. 1. Hongmei, where is our family's food? Where did you hide it? In a daze, I suddenly heard my husband Chu Yennan's voice beside my ear. I abruptly opened my eyes and smelled the lingering aroma of stewed meat in the room. I thought back to my previous life, when I returned home after digging for wild vegetables and saw my daughter's small, mutilated body floating in the large pot in the kitchen. I could no longer hold back and vomited with a loud retch. The partially digested wild vegetables, mixed with sticky gastric juices, splattered onto Chu Yennan's pant leg. I lifted my head slightly and clearly saw the disgust in Chu Yennan's eyes, but he forgot. For whom did I eat wild vegetables until I felt nauseous and vomited? I am an orphan who grew up eating meals from 100 families in the village. Chu Yangnan and his childhood sweetheart Yang Feifei are both educated youth sent to the countryside. In my past life, I was too eager for a home, and on top of that, Chu Yangnan was gentle and considerate to me. I naively believed that was love, and so, recklessly, I plunged headfirst into Chu Yennan's sweet trap. Until later, when Chu Yangnan took all the family's savings and food supplies and disappeared, he abandoned me and our daughter, and without looking back, went off to university with Yang Feifei. Only then did I realize that all the marital affection over the years had been an elaborate lie carefully crafted by Chu Yangnan. He said he wasn't feeling well, so I did the work of 2 people by myself, letting him study at home with peace of mind. But what about me? With my big belly, almost ready to give birth, I was still in the fields picking cotton and earning work points. He also said that Yang Feifei's parents had been kind to him, and he had always treated her like a sister since childhood. So, I let Chunan again and again send all our household rations, eggs, pork, even the old hens, straight into Yang Feifei's stomach. The 2 of them, eating and drinking at my expense, have grown plump and fair. I, carrying a child in my womb, have been starved to the point of being skin and bones. I had thought that once Chunan passed the university entrance exam, my daughter and I would finally have a good life. To save enough for Chunan's travel expenses and food coupons for university, I haven't spared a single grain of rice or a piece of bread for myself these past 2 years. Every time, after Chu Yangnan and Yang Feifei had eaten their fill, I would add a little water to the pot and, with the lingering taste of the grains, cook the wild vegetables into a paste to eat as a meal. In this way, I managed to save 120 yuan by skimping on my own food. I also exchanged 30 jin of national grain coupons for Chu Yangnan using the fine grains from our home. Thinking that my daughter was still young, I specifically set aside 20 jin of rations, 3 jin of meat coupons, and 2 jin of sugar coupons for her. But I never expected that, just so his beloved childhood sweetheart could also go to university with him. Chu Yangnan actually didn't even care whether his daughter lived or died. 2. In my past life, I had no guard up against my own husband. Chu Yangnan asked me where the family's food supplies were kept, and I casually told him. But when I came back carrying my daughter on my back, after digging for wild vegetables, what I saw was the rice jar, turned into a complete mess. On the table, there was also a letter left by Chu Yangnan. He said that Yang Feifei had also been admitted to university. The Yang family couldn't afford the money and food coupons needed for Yang Feifei to attend university. To repay their kindness, he decided to take the last bit of grain rations from home, along with the meat and sugar coupons, to support Yang Feifei's university education. At the end of the letter, Chunan swore that once he graduated from university and was assigned a job, he would definitely return to take me and our daughter to the city for a better life. But in my previous life, my daughter and I waited until our deaths without ever seeing Chunan return for us. After my death, my soul lingered in the old house. Unwilling to depart, it wasn't until 20 years later, when Chu Yangnan and Yang Feifei returned to their hometown in glory, that I finally realized they were the true couple all along. Back then, when Chu Yangnan and Yang Feifei had just been sent to the countryside as educated youths, they targeted me, an orphan with no parents. Because they wanted to avoid labor, Yang Feifei persuaded Chu Yangnan to marry me, and after the wedding, she moved into our home as the girl next door, making it all seem perfectly natural. From then on, I became their free nanny. I did their laundry, cooked their meals, managed the household chores, and even worked in the fields to earn work points to support both of them, while I was sweating profusely in the fields. Chu Yangnan and Yang Feifei were eating the food I earned and secretly getting together behind my back. Later, Chu Yangnan and Yang Feifei both passed the college entrance exams and got married immediately after graduation. That was when I realized that Chu Yangnan and I had never obtained a marriage certificate, so we were never legally married. After graduating from university, both of them were assigned to good jobs, and later they even ventured into business, making a fortune. 20 years later, Chu Yangnan returned to his hometown with Yang Feifei. Upon hearing that my daughter and I had long passed away, he only shed a few crocodile tears. Chu Yangnan was wearing a luxury watch worth millions. Yang Feifei was carrying a designer handbag worth hundreds of thousands. Yet, the two of them couldn't even bring themselves to buy the cheapest urn for me and my daughter. 3. My thoughts returned to the present as I heard Chu Yangnan repeat the question, "Where is the household's food stored?" I struggled to suppress the overwhelming hatred, my resentful eyes fixed intently on him. Word by word, I asked him, "Why are you asking about the family's food supply?" Most of our family's food supply was exchanged for grain ration coupons and taken with you. The little that's left, I kept for Nyo to eat. Hearing his daughter's name, Chu Yannan's eyes flickered with a trace of guilt, but soon, his gaze grew firm again, and he said with feigned sincerity, "I just wanted to see if the food at home is enough for you and Nyo to last until the summer harvest." I let out a bitter laugh and lowered my eyes. "So, you also know that without this food, Nyo and I wouldn't be able to make it until the summer harvest. In your previous life, for the sake of your childhood sweetheart, you still took away the life-saving rations for me and Nyo without hesitation." I looked up, glanced at Chu Yangnan, and asked softly, "That little bit of rations really isn't enough for me and Nyo to last until the summer harvest? How about leaving me another 10 jin of grain coupons?" "That won't do. I've inquired about it. The grain coupons subsidized by the school are only enough for half a month at most. Those 30 jin of grain coupons you gave me are barely enough to last me 2 months. If I leave you 10 jin, I'll go hungry next month." After speaking, perhaps feeling that his words sounded too harsh, Chu Yangnan put on a smiling face and explained softly, "Hongmei, it's not that I don't care about you and Nyo's survival. Think about it. No matter how difficult things are at home, when spring comes, the mountains are full of wild vegetables everywhere. If that's not enough, you can still borrow some food from the village. At least no one will starve to death. But when I go to university, I have to eat in the cafeteria for every meal. You can't dig for wild vegetables in the city. You don't want to watch your husband starve to death, do you?" I nodded. "If you don't want to keep the grain coupons, that's fine. Don't even think about the little food we have at home. Nyo is weak, and the village barefoot doctor said she needs to drink at least 2 bowls of rice soup every day." Seeing that I wouldn't budge no matter what, Chu Yangnan walked out in frustration. I immediately stood up and quietly followed behind him, for, sure enough, in the small grove at the back of the mountain, I saw Yang Feifei waiting anxiously there. As soon as they met, their hands tightly clasped together. Yang Feifei asked coquettishly, "Brother Yangnan, where are the grain coupons?" Chu Yangnan said with a grim expression, "I haven't managed to exchange for them yet. Hongmei has hidden all the remaining rations at home and won't tell me where she put them." Yang Feifei grew anxious. "Then what should we do, without money or grain coupons? How am I supposed to go to university?" Chu Yangnan quickly held the person in his arms and comforted softly, "Don't be afraid. At worst, we won't buy the shirt and leather shoes. Out of the 120 yuan Jiang Hongmei gave, I'll give you 80 yuan. That should be enough for your school expenses. Yang Feifei's beautiful big eyes welled up with tears as she shook her head desperately. No. I've seen that all the college students wear white shirts and leather shoes. If I go to school in cloth clothes and cloth shoes, I'll definitely be laughed at by my classmates. Brother Yangnan, you promised me that the 120 yuan would be saved for us to buy shirts and leather shoes, and that you'd get Jiang Hongmei to scrape together the travel expenses for you. You can't go back on your word. Speaking, Yang Feifei raised her small fist and lightly tapped Chu Yannan's chest a few times, her soft, boneless body writhing desperately in his embrace. Chu Yangnan took a sharp breath, grabbed Yang Feifei's slender waist, and pressed his lips fiercely against her cherry-like mouth. You little temptress, are you trying to be the death of me? Soon, the quiet grove was filled with the sounds of unspeakable noises. 5. I hid behind an old elm tree, tightly covering my mouth as tears uncontrollably streamed down my face. In the evening, when Chu Yangnan returned home, a faint but nauseating odor lingered around him. I kept my head down without saying a word, silently taking out a bowl of rice porridge and a bowl of wild vegetable paste from the pot. Chu Yangnan sat for a while and noticed that I hadn't served him any food, so he couldn't help but speak up. Hongmei, where's my food? Oh, you didn't say you were coming back to eat. I was afraid it would go to waste, so I didn't make any for you. On this day in her previous life, Chu Nan had already taken the last of the family's food rations and money coupons. He left with his childhood sweetheart, never to return, before setting off. The two of them went to the state-run restaurant in the county town and ordered a large portion of braised pork with rice, eating until their mouths were glistening with oil. But what about me back then? Because all the food rations and money coupons at home had been taken by Chu Nannan, I had no choice but to carry Nyonyo on my back and go door to door borrowing food. But in those days, no one in the village was well off. In the end, only the village chief, seeing how pitiful we mother and child were, secretly slipped me a coarse grain bun. I broke the steamed bun into 4 small pieces, crumbling them each time, then soaked them in boiling water to make a paste for Nyonyo to eat. As for myself, I had been eating wild vegetables for 2 consecutive days, without even any salt, and I was so hungry that I felt dizzy and light-headed. Hearing that I hadn't made any food for him, Chu Yangnan got so angry that he sprang to his feet, slammed the door, and went into the bedroom. From inside came the sound of rummaging through drawers and cabinets. I know he definitely hasn't given up yet. To buy a shirt and leather shoes for Yang Feifei, he still wants to steal the life-saving rations for me and our daughter, just like in the previous life. However, this time, Chu Yangnan, I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed. 6. After returning from the grove just now, I've already packed all the remaining rations and money coupons at home into a clean pickle jar and buried it under the firewood pile in the backyard. Chu Yangnan never did any housework at home. He found the woodpile in the backyard dirty, and in the 5 years of their marriage, he had never once gone near it. When I didn't find any food or money in the bedroom, I thought Chu Yangnan would give up. Unexpectedly, the very next day, he rushed to find me and immediately started lying. Hongmei, it's terrible. The money and food coupons you gave me for university were stolen. What? Then go report it to the police quickly. I pretended to be anxious and stood up. No, Chu Yangnan refused without a second thought. I stared into his eyes and asked without blinking, why can't we report it to the police? If we don't, we won't get the money and food coupons back. What will you eat and drink when you get to school? Chu Yangnan guiltily averted his eyes and said softly, our family still has a little bit of rations and money coupons. Right, you and Nyonyo live in the village, so you don't spend much money anyway. Hongmei, how about you give me the family's rations and money coupons first? After all, in just 2 more months, the new grain will be ready. Chu Yannan's words were like a sharp machete, slicing down and leaving me drenched in blood. I could no longer contain the overwhelming fury inside me, and I shouted at him. What about me and Nyonyo? How are we supposed to survive? You know it yourself, don't you? There are still 2 months until the new grain is harvested. You're at school, you have subsidies and grain coupons, but what about me and Nyonyo? We have nothing. How are we, mother and child, supposed to last until the new grain comes in without a single cent or a grain of rice, Chu Yangnan was forced to retreat step by step, muttering under his breath, "Can't we still go dig for wild vegetables in the mountains? Or, you could borrow some from the villagers first, and when the new harvest comes in, you can pay them back with grain." With a sharp smack, I rushed forward and slapped him hard across the face. "Chu Yangnan, you bastard. You know perfectly well that in order to scrape together your tuition, I've already borrowed from every household in the village that I possibly could. Now you just casually say the money is lost. And you want me to go borrow again. If you think borrowing money and food is so easy, then why don't you go do it yourself? Anyway, I don't have the ability to borrow money. Either report it to the police to get the money and food coupons back, or you can just forget about going to college." Chu Yangnan was scolded by me until his face turned red. Just then, Yang Feifei, wearing a brand new white shirt and a pair of leather shoes, bounced in cheerfully. "Brother Yangnan, how do I look in this outfit? Is it nice?" After speaking, she twirled in front of Chu Yangnan like a colorful butterfly. A flash of admiration appeared in Chu Yannan's eyes, but when he caught a glimpse of the bright color on Yang Feifei's wrist, his expression instantly stiffened. 7. Feifei, when did you buy that watch? Yang Feifei touched the Plum Blossom brand lady's watch on her wrist, glanced at me proudly, and said coquettishly, "Brother Yangnan, didn't you say that if I got into university, you would reward me with a watch? I know you're short on money and wanted to save you some, so I didn't even dare to buy a new one from the department store. I bought this second-hand one from an educated youth in the neighboring village for only 40 yuan. As soon as she finished speaking, she heard Chu Yangnan exclaim in surprise, "What, 40 yuan? How much did you spend altogether on that white blouse and those little leather shoes you're wearing?" Yang Feifei pouted at his scolding and said pitifully, "The $120 you gave me, there's only $1.50 left." Chu Yannan's vision went dark, and his slender, refined body swayed unsteadily. He glanced at the innocent and charming Yang Feifei and ultimately couldn't bring himself to scold his beloved childhood sweetheart. He could only turn his gaze back to me, his hard-working and enduring wife. "Hongmei, I'm sorry. I lied to you. The 120 yuan you gave me wasn't stolen by someone. I lent it to Feifei, but you have to understand me. After all, Feifei is a girl who cares about her pride. I didn't want to see her being laughed at in school for not dressing well. So you gave all the money, the travel and living expenses I borrowed from the entire village to help you, to Yang Feifei, so she could buy a watch, a shirt, and a pair of leather shoes." Chu Yangnan had nothing to say and could only nod with difficulty. "Now the money is all spent, and I can't return the items. Hongmei, can you help me think of another way?" Yang Feifei also had red-rimmed eyes and deliberately took off the newly bought watch on her wrist, timidly holding it out to me. "Sister Hongmei, I know you're upset that Brother Yangnan gave the money to me, then I'll return everything to you. Please, I beg you. Can you help gather some more money for Brother Yangnan so he can go to college?" Chu Yangnan saw her pale little face and tears falling like pearls, his heart aching so much it felt twisted. "What nonsense are you talking? Your sister Hongmei is just a country woman. She doesn't need to go to university. What use would she have for these things? You call me brother, and I promised to buy these things for you, so just take them with peace of mind. As for the travel expenses, your sister Hongmei and I will figure something out." Hearing Chu Yannan's gentle comfort, Yang Feifei blushed and gave him an affectionate glance. "Brother Yangnan, I knew you would be the best to me." After saying that, both of them looked at me with anticipation. 8. I nodded. "Your brother Yangnan is right. He will figure out his own travel expenses himself." With that, I dashed forward and took Yang Feifei's watch. Yang Feifei let out a scream. "Jiang Hongmei, how dare you snatch my watch?" I sneered coldly. "It's not just the watch, Yang Feifei. I'm giving you 3 days to return every single cent I spent on buying you that shirt and leather shoes. If you're even 1 cent short, I'll write a letter to your university and ask your teachers whether a female student seducing a married man and making him spend so much money on her counts as moral corruption." "No, don't write that letter, Brother Yangnan. Please stop her." Yang Feifei, with a pale face, looked pitifully at Chu Yangnan. Chu Yangnan held Yang Feifei in his arms and looked at me with a face full of reproach. Hongmei, I've told you, I only see Feifei as a younger sister. How could you say such things to her? Hurry up and apologize to Feifei. Let's just drop this matter. We're all family. What's the point of writing a complaint letter? Watching the two of them in such an intimate pose, I laughed so hard that tears nearly streamed from my eyes. Biological sister. Which biological sister would sneak into the woods with her own brother? Which biological sister would kiss her own brother? Chu Yangnan, I saw all the dirty things you and Yang Feifei were doing in the woods. In an instant, the faces of Chu Yangnan and Yang Feifei both turned deathly pale. Yang Feifei trembled with fear. Brother Yangnan, what should we do? Jiang Hongmei saw everything. She wouldn't really write a complaint letter to our school, would she? Hurry and do something about her. She can't write that complaint letter. If she does, we're finished. After a moment of panic, Chu Yangnan raised his hand and patted his childhood friend reassuringly, then said to me with an arrogant expression, Hongmei, I know you're jealous. Jealous that Feifei gets to go to college with me. Alright then, as long as you swear not to write that letter of complaint. And also gather 100 yuan and 40 jin of grain coupons for Feifei and me as travel expenses. Once I graduate from university and get assigned a job, I'll bring you and Nyo to the city to enjoy a good life. Enjoy a life of ease. In my previous life, while he and Yang Feifei were living together happily at university, they were thriving by feeding off my flesh and blood. My Nyo has already died a tragic death in the large pot used for cooking at home. When she was fished out, she was already boiled beyond recognition. In this lifetime, I will definitely make this despicable couple die a miserable death. 9. Seeing me hanging my head in silence, Chu Yangnan thought he had once again gained control over me and said smugly to Yang Feifei, Don't worry. Your sister Hongmei listens to me the most. With me here, she wouldn't dare write any complaint letter. Yang Feifei cast a disdainful glance at me and cooed to Chu Yangnan, Brother Yangnan. My feet are hurting so much from being squeezed by these leather shoes. Cloth shoes are so much more comfortable. Could you ask Sister Hongmei to make me 2 more pairs of cloth shoes? I'll take them to school and keep them in the dormitory to wear as slippers. Chu Yangnan affectionately tapped her delicate, fair nose and turned to me, saying, I remember you just bought a piece of cotton fabric for Nyo. Nyo is still young and doesn't need new clothes every year. Take that fabric out first and make 2 pairs of cloth shoes for Feifei. Make sure the uppers are simple and elegant. Feifei isn't like you country girls who like bright reds and greens. So tacky. Yang Feifei looked up at him with admiration. Brother Yangnan, you're so good to me. Chu Yangnan held her tenderly. We've grown up together since we were kids. If I'm not good to you, who else would I be good to? Be good Tilda in a few days. We'll be taking the train. You should make the most of your time and go inside to rest. If there's any work to do, just ask your sister Hongmei. As he spoke, he turned and instructed me. In the evening, steam 2 bowls of rice for me and Feifei, and also steam 2 bowls of egg custard. Feifei is about to start school soon, and it'll be rare for her to taste hometown dishes in the future. I remember we still have a piece of cured meat at home. Right, make that for Feifei too. After saying this, the two of them went into the room as usual, completely ignoring anyone else. They closed the door, and who knows what they were doing inside. 10. In my previous life, I noticed that Chu Yangnan and his childhood sweetheart, Yang Feifei, were behaving too intimately, and I had reminded him a few times. But every time, Chu Yangnan would tell me that he and Yang Feifei had grown up together and he always saw her as a younger sister. Besides, if Feifei and I were really going to be together, it would have happened long ago. Why would I have married you? At the time, although I still felt uncomfortable after hearing Chu Yannan's words, I thought that since we were already married and even had a child, even if Chu Yangnan had once liked Yang Feifei, the two of them could no longer be together. In this life, reflecting on the events of my past life, I suddenly came to a realization. It turns out that Chu Yangnan had been using me all along. He married me, moved Yang Feifei into my home, and made me work in the fields to earn work points to support them. That way, they could stay indoors, study in peace, and prepare for the college entrance exams. He clearly knew that due to last year's drought, Every household in the village was short of food, yet he deliberately took the last bit of grain from the house. Isn't it just because he and Yang Feifei have already been admitted to university and no longer need my support, so he wanted to take the family's grain, leaving me and Nyo Nyo to starve to death? Thinking of the tragic deaths of me and Nyo Nyo in my previous life, I clenched my palms tightly, standing outside the window, waiting until ambiguous kissing sounds came from inside. I turned around without hesitation, holding Nyo Nyo, and headed straight to the village chief's house. 11. Village chief, I want to report Chu Yangnan and Yang Feifei. They're having an affair in my house. I gathered a group of villagers and rushed home. Kicking the door open, I saw Yang Feifei lying disheveled in Chu Yannan's arms, both of them covered by the wedding quilt I had personally sewn for my marriage to Chu Yangnan. I handed Nyo Nyo to the neighbor's aunt, grabbed the broom from the corner, and charged forward, striking them wildly. Chu Yangnan, you have no shame. You told me you treated her, Yang Feifei, like a sister. Is this how you take care of a sister? Taking care of her all the way to the bed? Yang Feifei cried out. Brother Yangnan and I aren't blood-related siblings anyway, so why can't we be together? I slapped her hard across her fair, delicate face. Just because you eat my food and live in my house, for the 3 years you've been in the countryside, I've treated you like my own sister. And yet you end up sleeping in the same bed with my man, Yang Feifei. Is this how you repay me? Yang Feifei retorted defiantly. I haven't eaten your food or lived in your house since you're married to Brother Yangnan. Your house and everything you have belong to him. It's Brother Yangnan who's been supporting me. It has nothing to do with you. Furious, I reached out and snatched the white shirt she had laid on the bed. He bent down again to pick up the new leather shoes from the floor. Yang Feifei cried out in a fluster, "Put those down. That's my new shirt and leather shoes. Brother Yangnan gave me the money for them." I sneered. Then did your brother Yangnan tell you that the money he gave you actually came from me? You said your brother Yangnan would take care of you, didn't you? Fine, from now on, let him take care of you. I turned my head and looked coldly at Chu Yangnan, who remained silent. Either get a divorce, or I'll write to your and Yang Feifei's schools right now, reporting that you're having an affair. Yang Feifei's face turned pale, and she threatened me, saying, "How dare you? If you dare write a report letter to our school, don't you believe I'll make Yangnan divorce you?" I sneered. I'd be more than happy to. Chu Yannan's face was pale as he looked at me with a pleading tone. Hongmei, Feifei, and I really aren't what you saw. Watching Chu Yangnan rack his brains but unable to utter a single word. I laughed. Chu Yangnan, the facts are right before our eyes. So many of us saw you and Yang Feifei lying on the same bed. Do you really think I would still believe that there's nothing between you? I know you don't want to divorce me simply because you can't bear to lose such a strong laborer like me. You want me to work in the fields to earn work points so you and Yang Feifei can go to college. You also want me to do your laundry, cook your meals, sew your quilts, and make your clothes, serving the two of you comfortably. Once you graduate from college and start earning a salary, I'll be useless by then. You can discard me whenever you want. If you don't want to discard me, you could also not give me a single cent, leaving me and Nyo Nyo to fend for ourselves in the countryside. Chu Yangnan, admit it, you married me just to use me. You're down and out, broke. And you can't bear to let your beloved little sweetheart suffer with you, so let me take her place and go through the hard times with you first. Once you've made it big and can give Yang Feifei a better life, then it'll be time for me to step aside for her. Right, you love Yang Feifei and can't bear to see her suffer. If you have the guts, why don't you go work in the fields yourself to support your little sweetheart? Why drag me into this? Chu Yangnan, if you have even a shred of conscience left, come with me today and get this marriage annulled. I won't stop you and your childhood sweetheart from enjoying romantic moments under the moonlight, growing up together, but if you dare scheme against me or use me again, I have nothing left to lose now. The barefooted aren't afraid of those wearing shoes. If you won't let me live in peace, then let's all die together. As I spoke, I rushed into the kitchen, grabbed a kitchen knife, and pressed the sharp blade directly against Yang Feifei's neck. 12. Yang Feifei was so terrified that her limbs went weak, and she started screaming hysterically. Chu Yangnan was also frightened. his face pale and his lips trembling. In the end, forced by circumstances, he had no choice but to nod in agreement. The ridiculous thing is, Chu Yangnan and I never even obtained a marriage certificate, we just held a few banquets in the village. But even so, I still invited the village chief and several elders to formally dissolve our marital relationship in front of the entire village. In this lifetime, without me, the ever-dutiful scapegoat, I wonder if they can still graduate smoothly from university and achieve success as they did in their previous life. After the divorce, I immediately demanded that Chu Yangnan return all the money and food coupons I had given him for his university education. Probably afraid that I would actually write a report letter to the university, Chu Yangnan, with a dark expression, reluctantly handed over the remaining 43 yuan and 25 jin of national food coupons he had left to me. Hongmei, after all, we were once husband and wife. Do you really have the heart to see me without even the travel expenses to go to university? I chuckled lightly. If you enjoy living off others so much, go find your childhood sweetheart. Let her work in the fields to earn work points and support you through university. Chu Yangnan looked embarrassed, knowing that I had seen through his true nature completely and would no longer be like before, where I would find a way to get him food rations or money tickets whenever he asked. Chu Yangnan, along with Yang Feifei, carried 2 empty yellow book bags and left with almost nothing, returning to the educated youth settlement. Only at this moment did he realize that over the past few years, the bedding he used, the shoes he wore, the wash basin he used, and even his toothpaste and toothbrush were all provided by me. Now that we are divorced, all these things were bought with money, so of course I wouldn't just let him have them for free. The educated youth at the settlement, upon hearing that Chu Yangnan and Yang Feifei had been driven out by me for their promiscuous affair, all looked at them with contempt. They were not allowed to use the pots, pans, bowls, or dishes at the settlement to cook, nor were they permitted to pick the fruits and vegetables grown at the settlement. At night, they had no bedding to speak of, not even a pillow. Yang Feifei had grown accustomed to the comfortable life of being waited on by me and simply couldn't accept such a lifestyle. She tearfully begged Chu Yangnan to come up with a solution, but what could Chu Yangnan possibly do, with many siblings in his family? They barely had enough food for themselves. How could there be any surplus to share with them? The two tried working in the fields, but it had been so long since they had done any manual labor that they couldn't endure even half a day. The work points they earned weren't even enough to trade for 2 coarse grain buns. The deadline for university registration was approaching, and the two of them hadn't even managed to save up a single pound of grain coupons, let alone the money for train tickets and travel expenses to get to the university. Yang Feifei did nothing but cry all day long. Chu Yangnan had no choice but to come to me again. 13. Hongmei, could you lend me 100 yuan? No, if you don't have 100, then 50 will do. I don't have 50 either. Then how much do you have? If it's you borrowing, I don't have a single cent. Chu Yangnan got anxious and grabbed my arm. Jiang Hongmei, no matter what, I am still Nyo-Nyo's biological father. If you lend me some travel money now, once I successfully register at the university and graduate, I'll get a government job. Won't Nyo-Nyo have someone to rely on in the future? I turned around and looked at him strangely, saying, if you don't have the money, then don't go to school. Moreover, didn't the commune notify you and Yang Feifei? Your school called for political vetting. And I heard that you and Yang Feifei were involved in improper relationships and even fraudulent marriages. Your admission notices will probably be revoked. Right? What? Chu Yannan's vision went black. I didn't pay him any more attention, took Nyo-Nyo's hand, and went into the house, then turned and locked the door. 14. It was already a few days later when I heard news about Chu Yangnan again. These past few days, I took Nyo-Nyo to town. After the educated youth in the village returned to the city one after another, I heard that the village-run elementary school was also going to be shut down. Coincidentally, I had sold Yang Feifei's watch, leather shoes, and shirt, and with the money Chu Yangnan returned to me, I planned to use this money to rent a house in town and open a tofu workshop. In my previous life, in order to save money for Chu Yannan's university education, I had already sold tofu by going from street to street. Making tofu is hard work, but the initial investment is small, and the profit is quite stable. Most importantly, the town not only has an elementary school but also a middle school. Moving to town will make it much more convenient for Nyo to go to school in the future. After a few busy days, I finally got all the tools and equipment for making tofu ready. I took Nyo back to the village, planning to bring all the usable things from home to town. I never expected to see such a big drama right after returning to the village. Chu Yangnan caught Yang Feifei in bed with her lover. The adulterer is the production team's scorekeeper. I heard it was Yang Feifei who actively seduced the scorekeeper, just so he could give her more work points every day. Chu Yangnan and Yang Feifei were disqualified from the college entrance examination due to issues with their conduct, and this news quickly spread throughout the commune. Now, not only could they no longer participate in the college entrance examination, but their procedures for returning to the city were also blocked. Unable to return to the city or attend college, Chu Yangnan and Yang Feifei, forced to stay in the village in this life, soon turned against each other. No longer as loving as they had been in their previous lives, Yang Feifei resented Chu Yangnan, blaming him for being incompetent and failing to keep his promise of supporting her through college. Chu Yangnan no longer indulged her, calling her a jinx who not only destroyed his once happy home but also caused him to fail the political screening for university admission. In this lifetime, the two harbored mutual resentment and never officially registered their marriage. Before long, Yang Feifei, who had grown accustomed to a comfortable life, could no longer endure such hardship. Using the excuse of a miscalculation in work points, she sought out the production team's record keeper and actively seduced him. The scorekeeper also had a wife, and she was famously known in the village as a fierce woman. Upon hearing that Yang Feifei had actually slept with her husband, the fierce woman stormed into the educated youth dormitory. Grabbing Yang Feifei by her beautiful hair, she dragged her off the heated brick bed, pinned her down, and slapped her more than 20 times in a row. Yang Feifei tearfully begged Chu Yangnan to save her, but Chu Yangnan just gave her a cold glance, turned around, and walked out, leaving her alone with the tigress and her brothers. In the end, Yang Feifei had 4 teeth knocked out by the tigress, and her beautiful face was slashed with a sickle, leaving a hideous scar that completely disfigured her. She was someone who knew when to bend and when to stand firm. She had thought that by seducing the scorekeeper, she could make him divorce the tigress at home and marry her instead. Now, realizing that the scorekeeper was just toying with her and had no intention of taking responsibility, Yang Feifei came back crying to apologize, begging Chu Yangnan to give her another chance for the sake of their childhood friendship. This time, she will definitely marry Chu Yangnan and live a good life with him. Unfortunately, without material support, childhood sweethearts become rotten fruit, and the bamboo horse turns into a thorny branch. Chu Yangnan knew he wasn't good at physical labor and had no money-making skills. Even the path to college was completely blocked because he couldn't pass the political screening. Unable to return to the city, yet unable to make a living in the village, Chu Yangnan thought it over and over, and in the end, he still chose the same path as in his previous life. Relying on a woman for support, 15, he decided to marry the daughter of the production team leader. Although she was a bit older, had previously eloped with someone, and had suffered physical harm that left her unable to have children in the future, but Chu Yangnan didn't care. He now only wants to find a woman to support him, as long as he can fill his stomach and do less work. Who wouldn't he marry? Unfortunately, Yang Feifei is not me and not so easy to deal with. Hearing that Chu Yangnan wanted to abandon her and marry another woman, Yang Feifei somehow got hold of a butcher knife, mixed in with the crowd at the wedding chamber, and stabbed Chu Yangnan and his new wife more than a dozen times in one go. The production team leader's daughter was stabbed in a major artery and died before she could be taken to the hospital. Chu Yangnan had the tendons in both of his wrists severed. Most critically, his family jewels were completely cut off by Yang Feifei, turning him into a eunuch. It is said that Yang Feifei was sentenced to death for committing murder. The production team leader, blaming Chu Yangnan as the root cause of his daughter's death, also directed his anger toward him. Chu Yannan's tendons in both hands had been severed, leaving him with no strength at all. Yet the production team leader still assigned him the hardest and most exhausting work every day. In just half a year, the refined and handsome university student from his previous life had been worn down to resemble a man in his 50s. 16. The last time I saw Chu Yangnan was at the commune market. By then, my tofu workshop had already gained some renown in the town, because tofu is delicious, affordable, and of good quality. Everyone in the town likes to come to my shop to buy tofu. I hired more people and opened a breakfast shop, specializing in tofu pudding and tofu buns, and the business is even more popular than the tofu shop. Every time there's a market day, people from all the surrounding villages come to my shop to buy a few spicy tofu buns. On this day, the breakfast shop was so busy that I brought Nyo to the shop to help, yet in the queue of people, I caught sight of Chu Yannan's figure. In my previous life, Chu Yangnan despised the cloth shoes I had painstakingly made for him by hand, calling them too rustic. He even traded the life-saving rations meant for me and our daughter to exchange for a pair of leather shoes for himself. In this life, Chu Yangnan has fallen so low that he can no longer afford even a pair of cloth shoes. He walked up to me barefoot, wearing patched clothes that seemed to have been picked up from who knows where. With one pant leg longer than the other, clutched tightly in his hand were 2 grimy 10-cent notes. "Boss, 2 tofu buns, please." I looked up, and the moment our eyes met, Chu Yannan's jaw dropped in surprise. Someone behind was shoving him desperately. "Are you buying or not? Damn beggar. If you're not buying, then get lost." I accepted 2 10-cent notes, took the pre-cut newspaper, and wrapped 2 tofu buns for him. Chu Yangnan held the buns and was squeezed out of the line by the crowd. That day, I heard that Chu Yangnan stood outside the bun shop for a long time. He stood there until the market ended, and I left with Nyo on my newly bought bicycle. He crouched on the ground, eating the long cold tofu buns in big mouthfuls. The next day, I heard that Chu Yangnan had jumped into a large river beside the commune. He had jumped into the river in the middle of the night, and no one knew where the current had carried his body, with one less beggar in town. It seemed to have no impact on anyone's life. At the dinner table, Nyo got tired of eating rice and looked up at me, acting coquettishly. "Mom Tilda, I want to eat the braised noodles with green beans you make." "Alright, I'll make braised noodles with green beans for you tonight." In this lifetime, my Nyo will never go hungry again. How wonderful.